Lord, have mercy on this man. Lord, have mercy on this child. Lord, have mercy on this family, because these people are so outside the bounds that destruction is inevitable. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about marry your child for a little while, and this is a very bizarre little deal, but we're just going to share with you what it is. This came out on April 10th, which was last Saturday, and this is from the New York Post. It says, New York parent seeks the okay to marry their own adult child. Marry their own adult child. It says right here, I take my child to be my lawfully wedded spouse. A New Yorker who wants to marry their own adult offspring is suing to overturn laws barring this practice, calling it a matter of individual autonomy. The pining parent seeks to remain anonymous because their request is an action that a large segment of society views as morally, socially, and biologically repugnant, according to court papers. Through the enduring bond of marriage, two persons whatever relationship they might otherwise have with one another can find a greater level of expression, intimacy, and spirituality, the parent argues in the Manhattan federal court claim filed April 1st. Legal papers give only the barest picture of the would-be newlyweds, failing to identify their gender, ages, hometowns, or the nature of their relationship. The proposed spouses are adults, the filing says. The proposed spouses are biological parent and child. The proposed spouses are unable to procreate together, and it says that this is actually a third-degree felony under New York law, punishable by up to 4 years behind bars. And these marriages are considered void, with the spouses facing a fine and up to 6 months in jail.
Do you think they'll actually go through with that, though?
They're going to try their best. It says here that marriage licenses in the 5 boroughs require potential spouses to list their birth parents and attest that there are, quote, no legal impediments to the marriage, according to the city clerk office. And in 2014, a state appeals court unanimously approved a case involving a woman married to her mother's half-brother, noting the genetic relationship was the equivalent of a first cousin. Even that ruling cited, quote, the almost universal horror with which a parent-child marriage is viewed. The parents in the new case who hears wedding bells when looking at their own kids said, I love how they word that. The parents in the new case who hears wedding bells when they look at their own kids said they want to propose, but would, quote, sustain emotional harm if they did so while the current laws are in effect. The parents wants to walk down the aisle in New York City and is asking a judge to declare the laws unconstitutional and unenforceable in their case, which the lawsuit dubs PAACNP for parent and adult child non-procreation couples. And so it goes on right there. Parent and adult child couples from whom procreation is either virtually literally impossible can aspire to the transcendent purposes of marriage and seek fulfillment in its highest meaning. The forebear argues, claiming that it would, quote, diminish their humanity if they were unable to tie the knot with the kid they conceived. And so it goes on right here and says several different things right there. There's no comment. But here's the thing that is happening in our society that I want to say to you guys tonight. This is a real article. This is not this isn't The Onion that's posting this stuff. This is not a satire site. This is the New York Post. This is mainstream media that is saying this stuff. And we have a problem in society in that we don't believe in God's boundaries anymore. The laws of God are an annoyance to us today. And this is the thought I want to put on your mind, and I want you to think about this for a little bit. Okay, we think of God's commandments, thou shalt not. And many of us, when we think of the thou shalt nots, something inside of us boils up, and I guess it's our fallen nature, and says, "Oh, that just irritates me." We don't like laws. We don't like boundaries. We don't like lines being drawn saying that you can't do that. I was at the at Home Depot the other day. Unfortunately, I don't like Home Depot very much, but I had to go, and we were there, and there was a married couple that was there, and I just happened to see this, and I guess the Lord let me see this, but they had a toddler, a 2-year-old child, and the husband was putting these big 2x4s on a big cart, and he was pulling them off the lumber rack and putting them in the cart, and this little child, it was a little girl, she decided she wanted to crawl up on that cart and get on those 2x4s while he's sitting there loading them into the and it wasn't, I could tell real quick, the cart kind of tilted, and a lot of that stuff shifted, and the child was not in a position that she needed to be. I mean, it was really not safe, and the mother did what any responsible mother would do. She pulled the child off and said no, and put the child on the floor and had the child stand there. Well, the little girl threw a temper tantrum, and I mean, just screamed and actually sat on the floor, crossed her arms, and did what most children do. She did not like being told that she could not do that. Well, the thing is that God puts these laws into place, and he says, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit murder. And we look at that and say, oh, we're being so oppressed by these things that we can't do. And the funny thing is that the fallen nature of man loves to do the things that they can't do. It's kind of like they did an experiment on toddlers years ago where they put a button in the middle of a room and left them in the room and said, you can do anything you want in the room, just don't push that button. Guess what all those kids did?
Push the button.
They went and pushed the button because it was the one thing that they could not do. Okay, God puts Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and says, you can do anything you want, just don't touch that one thing. And guess what they do? Okay, mankind is a mess. And here's the thing that I want to get on your mind. God's commandments, God's boundaries are there for our good. And I want to say that again because that is so important. God's commandments, God's lines, God's boundaries are there for my good, and they're there for your good. And we would do well to stay within those boundaries. And it's not that God is, the typical line that a lot of teenagers like to throw out is, you just don't want me to have any fun. You ever heard a teenager say that, Johnny? You ever say that to your mom and dad?
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
I don't know if I ever said it, but I definitely heard
he says it to his wife.
I bet he does. You just don't want me to have any fun.
Sorry.
But that's fallen man's nature, thinking,
right.
Okay, my dad says I can't be out past 11 o'clock and go hang out with a bunch of people that I don't even know that are really shady, and
right.
You just don't want me to have any fun. Well, no, we do want you to have fun. But we know that there are these no-go zones that there's a big danger in going there. And you need to be very careful about that. Years ago, my family had the privilege of preaching out in Arizona, and we preached in Phoenix, and then we drove north up into Utah. And we actually, along that big, long trip, we went to the Grand Canyon. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
I have. My mom's got a picture of me. I was like 8 months old, I was sitting on now you'd probably get in trouble.
Edge.
Yeah, I was sitting on the edge. I was like,
well, yeah. We went there. There was one that was run by the U.S. government. There was one that was run by like the Indians, and the Indians had their own little deal on their reservation. And there was two different deals out there. The Indian one really scared me because they didn't have a lot of money invested into the barriers.
Right.
It was like something that was barely waist high, and
like, hey.
I didn't even let my kids were like 3 and 2, and I didn't even let them go near the barriers because honestly, there was something like probably waist high, and then honestly 1,000-foot drop right there, and it was really scary. But the U.S. government side that had a lot of funding had fences up that were appropriate. And what kind of fool would I be to say there should never be any fences up here at the Grand Canyon? Just let us look. You're hindering my photograph here. I mean,
that's what I say.
I need to be able to see this, and I need to be able to experience this with no boundaries put in front of me. Well, if you did that, there would be people who would fall off that cliff needlessly. Yep. There would be children that would fall off that cliff needlessly. And so, although it can seem like an annoyance and it can seem like something that is not really helpful or not even convenient or not even likable, and I don't want to sit there and be like, yeah, I love that fence. That's an amazing thing.
Fence you got there.
It's there for a purpose. It is there for our good. We need that boundary there, because if we go beyond this area outside of these bounds, then there is destruction waiting on the other end of that line. And when it comes to the boundaries that God has placed in society, as far as marriage and the home, those boundaries are there for my good and for your good. And when we see people like this who are obviously doing everything they can to go outside the boundaries that God has given, then we have to realize that there is destruction happening here. There is nothing good that's going on right here in this situation. I don't even know how I could even imagine this whole relationship. What kind of child is, what kind of parent is this? What kind of demented people are this? But that is what happens whenever we do this. Now, when years ago, and it's still happening now, when we call them, I guess, the alphabet people, the LGBT whatevers, when they were petitioning for their rights, they were always pointing to the bigots, the Bible thumpers. You Bible thumpers, and blah blah blah. Okay. What we were saying was not that we hate you people and that we think you don't deserve to live, or and whatever slanderous mischaracterization was thrown at us. What we were saying is, and we were cautioning society by saying that if we go outside the bounds of the order that God has given us in this book, nothing good will come of that. Nothing good at all. And so they pushed for it, and they really, the problem is they see this book as some sort of prison that they're bound to. That's the problem, that they view this Bible as a prison, and we're going to break free. It's like Psalm chapter 2, let us break his bands asunder. That is the cry of a fallen man. And but those bounds are there for a good reason. They're there for a purpose. And so they broke the bands, and guess what? Once you start that, it never stops. It's like kicking over a domino, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just goes down the line to where you have the total fall of society altogether. It's because you stepped outside of the bounds by which God has given. Now, there's the LGBT, and that everybody knows what that stands for. And I won't say it here because everybody you should go look it up. But guys, there's going to come a day where they're going to add another letter to that, and it's going to be called M. And it's going to be a minor attracted person, or an MAT is what they're going to call them. And these people are going to push for their legal right to exercise what they call is their humanity. This is just what I am. I was born this way.
Yeah.
And they're all going to dance in the streets and play Lady Gaga's theme song, and they're gonna be all, whatever, and said, this is just how I was born. I've always looked at them that way and thought that's just what I think like. And guys, it's not that we hate people, it's that we love people. It's the opposite of that. And what we're saying is that within the bounds of morality, and really, it's not even that way, but within the bounds of God's commandments, there are blessings there. For example, I'm glad that I married a woman after Bible college, and that we have stayed married, and that I have children within that marriage, and I do not have children outside of that marriage. That has been a great blessing on my life. There are men out there who literally cannot pay the light bill because they've had kids with her and kids with her and kids with her and kids with her, and now they're paying umpteen thousand child support checks, and they can't even afford a pack of gum at the gas station because they're just so broke. That is a curse on their life, and it is something that you can recover from that. I guess you can survive through that, but it's like an anchor that you put around your own neck when you live outside of the commandments of God. And as a society, I want to warn you, there is no good that will come from this. There is nothing helpful, moral, right about this. And here's one thing I want to show you. And let's just go to Psalm chapter 1 if we can. And I actually was in the RU program years ago, and as a helper, and they asked us, the very first thing you had to do was learn Psalm chapter 1. You had to memorize it. The Bible says in Psalm 1:1, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the what? It says the law of the Lord. That's his delight is within the boundaries of God's law. And in his law doth he meditate day and night. Well, what happens to a man who is within the bounds and lives within the law of God. It says, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Then it says this, the ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly, and by the way, the ungodly are those who live outside the bounds of God's law. Okay, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Okay, if you were starting a garden, and you had a plot of land, and you were wanting to start a garden, and I knew the land, and I said, if you plant here, then you will have an abundant harvest. But if you plant over here, even though it may look like a good spot, your crops will wither and die, and you'll get nothing. Okay, I just told you where the place to be was. And if you follow my advice and put them where I tell you to do, you're going to have a great bunch of, a plentiful harvest. But if you don't, then you go with your own wisdom, then all your crops are going to rot. Well, in a sense, God's law is he's telling you this is what you should do with your life. A man and a woman together forever and having children and being married till death do you part. That's God's design for the home. And really, it says here that a person who delights in the law of the Lord shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water and bringeth forth his fruit in his season. So basically, it's like planting a tree by a river. It'll never lack in the things that it needs. It'll never lack in fruit, and its leaves will not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper, meaning that this tree has planted itself in a location that is good for it and will bring forth abundant blessings upon it. But if you go outside of that, then you are going to destroy yourself. I want to go also to Isaiah chapter 48 and show you this. Isaiah 48, he's dealing with a rebellious nation of people, and they just don't want to listen to what God had to say. And here's what he says in verse number 16 to the nation of Israel. Come ye near unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning. From the time that it was, there I am. And now the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me. Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, thy Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. Meaning that he said, I told you the way to live. I told you what you should do. I told you the bounds that you should stay within. And then he says this, oh, that thou hast hearkened to my commandments.
Amen.
If you just had listened. Then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. He's saying, I had something wonderful for you inside of my commandments if you had just hearkened to my commandments, but you didn't. And because of that, you forfeited all these wonderful things that you could have had. Matter of fact, also in the book of Jeremiah, in chapter number 5, I see here that Jeremiah says something very similar to the nation of Israel. He says this. Let's see here, let's go to verse 22. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord? Will ye not tremble at my presence, which I have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail? Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it? But these people that I'm dealing with right here, hath a revolting and rebellious heart. They are revolted and gone. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord our God, that giveth rain, both the former and the latter in the season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. But notice what Jeremiah says right here. Your iniquities, and by the way, iniquity is a violation of the law. Your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. Oh, I'd hate to meet God and say, Spencer, I had so many wonderful things for you, but because you just wouldn't let go of sin, you lived outside the bounds of which I told you. You would not stay and obey my law. There was so much more you could have had, but you lost it all because you chose sin over the blessings of God and over the commandments of God. Your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. Now, when it comes to this article and these people right here, I look at this and I think, oh, Lord, have mercy on this nation. Lord, have mercy on this man. Lord, have mercy on this child. Lord, have mercy on this family, because these people are so outside the bounds that destruction is inevitable. How in the world can these people have the blessings of God upon them when they're living such a horrible, heinous life? And guys, I know that you guys have known several different people through the years, just like I have, who have just, I mean, it's like as soon as they got out of high school or whatever, they went straight outside the bounds of God's, blessings. And you guys are, Chris, you're over 30. Johnny, you're closing in on 30, and it's all downhill from 30, brother.
It is.
And but I mean, okay, 10 years down the road now, where are those people?
Right.
You tell me, are they in a good place right now, or are they in a real bad place?
It's a real bad place.
Real bad.
Yeah.
I mean, just from 20 to 30, that 10-year period, I've seen a lot of people and a lot of lives destroyed.
Yeah.
A lot of lives messed up because they went outside the bounds.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that the 20s are harder than the teens.
Yeah.
Because you're still kind of young and inexperienced, but now your mistakes have a lot higher consequences.
Oh yeah. And you have more access to everything.
Yes, you do. You're 21. Legal. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And but and now when you're 16, you do something stupid. Okay, you get grounded and you maybe get kicked off a football team or whatever.
Right.
Suspended from schools. But when you're 26 and you do something stupid, now it's like you're in divorce court and you've lost your job, jail. You get a felony on your charge. Okay, so I think the think the 20s are harder because you still haven't learned it all yet. You're still not totally grown up, but the stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah.
I
know a lot of men who in their 19, 20, 21s, one stupid night, and then now you look, they're 35 to 40.
Yep.
They're a whole different person.
Yeah.
But because of there's things they couldn't do because of the one mistake they made when they were 20, 21.
And they're still paying for it.
Yep.
Still paying for it. And see, and that's why God, this is what I'm telling folks, okay? Those fences, those boundaries, all those thou shalt nots, they're not there because God's a power tripping jerk.
Right.
Okay, we've all worked for that guy.
We can't have fun. Come on.
All that legal.
The Bible's no fun.
Yeah, I had somebody. Come on. I was dealing with music on one of my videos a long time ago.
You were,
and you may not believe that, but I was. But someone's on there said, so basically, Spencer says we can't enjoy anything anymore.
Right. Can't listen to music. And, I can't watch TV. I watched Disney Plus, and I could hear Spencer in my head saying, "You can't be watching that."
That's what our fallen nature says.
Right.
I just can't enjoy anything.
Right.
You're just telling me I can't enjoy nothing. Nothing's fun no more.
Sounds like my 10-year-old son.
No, I mean that's just
right.
what our nature.
You don't mean have no fun. You don't. Come on.
That's what we think. We think that those things are there because everybody's just a big meanie face, and nobody appreciates that. I just want to go try things.
Right.
But going and trying things is you need to learn to listen to people who know more than you.
Right.
And the Lord knows far more than any of us. Of course, He's the all-knowing Alpha and Omega. He knows the beginning from the end, and that's why those things are in place. Not because we're trying. God is just trying to put you down.
Right.
It's because God knows what's best, and really, the ones who get the most are getting the most heat from this right now are women.
Yeah.
Because women are being told that subjecting yourself to your husband. I mean, oh my goodness, it is not that way. I mean, why don't you think about it this way? Instead of I am a slave to my husband. I'm just a housewife. How about look at it this way? Like I get to be home with my kids all the time.
Right.
That's a blessing. That's a wonderful thing. And I don't have to go work in the corporate world just to pay the rent. I get to stay home. Not I have to stay home because of whatever. I get to stay home. This is amazing. I saw a comedian some video. I don't even know what it was on Instagram or something where where this
the
Christian
devil
woman,
playground.
I don't even know who it was. So if it was somebody weird, please don't judge me. I don't even know who it was, but I probably shouldn't even bring it up.
You went down the hole of watching videos one after one after one.
It is a very, very crazy addiction you can develop very quickly. But this one woman's on there like, I'm sitting at home raising my kids, having a good time. Then I can turn on TV and some woman's like, we can do more. We can go to work. And I'm like, shut up.
Right.
I got it good where I'm at, So, but like, okay, God's design for the home is the man subjects himself to Christ. Christ is head the man is head the woman's head the children. That's not there because you couldn't go run a Fortune 500 company as a female. Okay, they're saying that's patriarchy. You think us women are just your cooking slaves. No, that's not how God sees it.
No.
God doesn't see it that way at all. God sees it as this is what's best. This is what I believe you should do, and when God says that, we ought to take that real serious.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we think that the boundaries God has created are there just to put us down. And we're like teenagers who think, I just can't have any fun.
Right.
This is okay. We're like that 3-year-old who wants to go play on that cart full of lumber that's going to roll over and break your hand any moment. And we just think, my mommy doesn't want me to have any fun on that fun cart with all that heavy wood, and we think of that about God. God just doesn't want me to have any fun.
You're right, brother.
And then the wicked heathen world looks at this and says, oh, you Bible-thumping bigots say that we can't marry our own children. Who do you think you are? You're degrading my humanity. No, we're not.
No.
I can just tell you, even from a non-Bible believing perspective, that's messed up.
Yeah.
This is like Kathy Bates and a Stephen King movie would be like, this is messed up.
Well, it says in the
This is
article
really way out there.
there's no names, there's no ages, there's no genders, there's no nothing given in this lawsuit.
Oh.
Because the guy or whoever
He don't
knows
get-
it. They
right.
know how crazy this is, so they want it to change, but they don't want to it's not me.
It's not
You know,
me.
type thing.
Johnny,
It's like,
why
I'm
they
scared.
covering you up, bro?
Yeah, I didn't know you could file a lawsuit anonymously.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that. But apparently in New York law, you can.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, what's he going to do? Have a secret wedding? I mean,
Yeah.
like if this gets
Well, it's
legalized
basically
and whatever,
If
He
it gets
can't-
legalized,
he
then
can't
I'm like,
post
okay, I'm
off.
good now. Well, we can go.
Yeah.
But who
It doesn't
gonna-
matter.
yeah.
It's legal now. Then the world's okay with it. No, not really.
Well, and see, here's the deal. Like I remember, and I wasn't alive, of course, but I remember reading that the very first time Elvis Presley got on TV, he danced,
Oh no.
and his lower body, he was moving his lower body and
Oh, yeah.
dancing, and the next time he went on TV, they showed him from the waist up.
Oh yeah.
Because of how lewd his dance moves were.
Oh,
And I
right.
went back, you can go check it out on YouTube. By today's standards, with Cardi B out there running around,
Oh, yeah.
that's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse stuff, man. I mean, that's like put it on the on Kids Network, or that stuff that's on baby stuff now compared to what's out there now. But we're more and more and more going outside the bounds.
Yeah.
And then all these politicians have to try to find solutions for all these problems that our sin causes in a society. And they don't have the answer. They never will have the answer.
No.
They don't even know what, you really think Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell and all these, you really think those people are going to fix this country?
No.
I watched Fox News the other morning. Apparently the only thing in the world that's happening right now, according to Fox News, is the border crisis. And I guess they're just doing that just to slander the Biden administration or whatever. Apparently that's the only thing in the world that's happening, according to Fox News. But what's causing all that? It's sin. The fallen nature of man is causing these problems. And if we would just live within the boundaries that God has given, then a lot of our problems as a nation would not even exist anymore. And so we want to talk about that here in just and for the next minute or so. But let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk about dissenters exiled. Social media has been absolutely cutting so many people off lately, and it has been a wild little bit. They just got Project Veritas off Twitter. They're gone.
Oh yeah.
And do you know who that is?
No.
They're pretty interesting people. We'll talk about them for just a little bit. But don't go away. We'll be right back. If you haven't done so, please share this. Please share this video on Facebook. Go ahead and hit the like button. We got 337 likes. Let's try to get that up to about 500 or so. That'd be really good if we could do that.
Yeah.
So about 500 or so. And guys, we love you. We'll be right back. Please do not go away.
Hey guys, your friend Spencer here. A couple years ago, the Lord laid on my heart to do some research into the contemporary Christian music world, and I was astounded at what I found. I just found so many unbelievably unbiblical things, even some demonic things that were happening. And the Lord led me to put all that into a book form, and this is the book we have written, Calling Evil Good, the Live Christian Rock and Roll. And as far as books that are dealing with the negative and the dangerous aspects of contemporary Christian music, this book right now is the #1 seller as of the time of the recording of this video. And so we want to put this out there to let you know about this book. This book will be shipped to your front door by Amazon. And we've had so many good reports from all over the world, really, of people saying that, man, this book really opened up my eyes to the truth of this entire industry. And we deal with people like Hulk Hogan, Britney Spears, Beyonce, Amy Grant, Alice Cooper, Elvis Presley, Larry Norman, R. Kelly, Puff Daddy, and all the record companies really all together. We deal with the whole big spectrum. So get your copy today. There's a link in the description below, and I know this book will help you understand the issue better and understand why this is an issue. So God bless you, friend. Hope you enjoyed the book. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and look forward to many good updates with you in the future. God bless you.